we saw that public administration, it has a broader meaning. We cannot take it narrowly. Like public administration, it is means integral view is a better view. Then public administration, there are two views. It's a actually subject matter view or the POSCO view. We see that some places POSCO view is taken, at some places this subject matter view is taken. Okay, but questions are not asked on that part. Then we saw actually significance of public administration and about the definition. We cannot define public administration concretely. We cannot concisely define it because public administration is expanding continuously. Public administration is changing continuously. Why public administration is expanding and changing continuously? Because public administration is to serve people. Okay, it's an action part of the government to serve people, to serve society. As society changes, society's demands changes, obviously the response of public administration or government will change. Okay, and the way we are solving our problems are changing. Our problems are changing, as well as the way we are solving our problems, that is also changing. Because of that, we cannot concretely define public administration. And Dwight Waldo had said that define public administration in one statement, that will be mental paralysis. Okay, means rather than enlightenment, it's a mental paralysis because we cannot concretize it. Now, next topic, which is important now from exam point of view, it is evolution of public administration. And on evolution of public administration, always questions are asked. Okay, now this is, we can say it's a starting point of public administration. Evolution, how public administration evolve. So here, another thing is there, Wilson's vision of public administration. Woodrow Wilson is called father of public administration. Okay, and he gave certain thought about public administration that also we will discuss. So first of all, evolution of public administration, and in evolution, okay, we'll see the stages. Each and every stage is important. Every statement in that stage is important because question may be asked on the overall evolution of public administration or on the specific stage of specific stage of evolution of public administration. And what you will read for this evolution, okay, if you want to go in more detail, then Avasti Maheshwari book that you can read. Anyway, notes I will give in the classroom. Plus Lakshmikant. Okay, Lakshmikant is the best book for this topic. Evolution. Okay, Lakshmikant पेक्षा चांगलं कशामध्येच दिलेलं नाहीये. Okay, Lakshmikant's public administration. Now I will share here evolution, and I will take, because each and every statement is important, because in public administration on those statements questions are asked. That's why just teaching it from notes, there is no point. You can directly refer the books or those statements on which there is a probability of asking questions. Now here, evolution of public administration. Once this question was asked, it's a detailed part. How public administration evolve. So there are two ways: evolution of public administration in India or evolution of Indian administration, that we will see in paper second. And it's a evolution of public administration as such. So here, ancient time, when we see that in ancient time we find certain texts which talk about the political science, okay, and the public administration. Public administration was not a separate subject, but it was a part of the this political science, like Arthashastra, which was written by Kautilya in India. Arthashastra, it is a treatise on a statecraft, म्हणजे राजनीती शास्त्रावरचा तो ग्रंथ आहे. Here Kautilya explains what are the responsibilities of king, how state shall be. तुम्ही तसं मध्ये बसा ना, म्हणजे मला फोकस पण येईल ते नेमकं हे युट्यूबला पण आहे. So how state shall be run by the king, what are the responsibilities of king, okay, what are the duties of king, functions of king, then the type of personal administration, financial administration during the Kautilyan period. So this we find. So here with statecraft, we also get certain points of public administration. That's why here Kautilya's, the oldest textbook, this is called the oldest textbook on public administration. Even though it was not a special book on or a special text on public administration. Okay, it was a just miss some points were mentioned in Kautilya's text. Then in ancient West, means in ancient period, in the Western countries, Aristotle, okay, philosopher, you might have heard about the Aristotle. He wrote the Politics. It is a book. Okay, so in politics, Aristotle, Kautilya's this Arthashastra, then this Aristotle Politics of the Politics. This is a text written by the Aristotle. Here also we'll find some mentions of this public administration. This is in the ancient time, ancient period. Other than these two texts, means rarely we'll find any text which is written on the public administration. Then in the medieval period, again in the Western countries, Machiavelli, he wrote the book The Prince. Okay. The Prince. In this book, The Prince, it contains significant observation about the organization and functions of the government, specifically the functions of the government, how organizations are formed. Okay, so these things we find in this Machiavelli's the Prince, Machiavelli the thinker. Okay, in his book The Prince, you will find these glimpses. Then we come to a modern period. Actually, public administration is a modern development. But in ancient time also some these points we get. So in a modern era, in 18th century, there was a cameral science in Germany. It is also called as a cameralism. Okay, cameralist group. त्यांचं नावच होतं ते कॅमेरालिझम कॅमेरालिस्ट ग्रुप दिस कॅमेरल सायन्स इन जर्मनी अँड ऑस्ट्रिया they for the first time they taught as a part of the training course of public officials on probation, means they started teaching public administration some principles which they knew to the probations. Okay, these probationary officers, because we can say the public administration teaching was started even though it was not a completely developed subject at that time. The cameralist showed interest in the study of public administration. They stress the descriptive study of structures, principles, procedures of public administration. Yesterday we saw whenever we want to study public administration, we study it in the form of structure, okay, process, behavior of public administration, and fourth one, that is the ecology. Okay, ecology of organization. In this structure, we study it. So here, this George Zinke was the most distinguished scholar of cameralist group. So see, this is not a conceptual. This is the information. Okay. Actual this evolution in modern time we will study after this. But before Woodrow Wilson, what was the development? The before Woodrow Wilson, means here this some thinkers were there, like we saw the Kautilya. Okay, Kautilya's Arthashastra textbook, then Aristotle the Politics, Machiavelli's the Prince, and then Cameralist group. Okay, in Germany and Austria, they also contributed in the development of public administration, and they stress on the descriptive study. Now you see, descriptive and prescriptive. These two things will come in our studies. Descriptive and prescriptive. Prescription, when we go to doctor gives us prescription. बरोबर, डॉक्टर आपल्याला प्रिस्क्रिप्शन देतात. म्हणजे दे टेल अस, डॉक्टर आपल्याला सांगतात की तुम्ही ह्या औषधी घ्या. दे एक्सप्लेन अस, okay, or they give us, they prescribe us those medicines. Description means what? On our own, we are not doing anything. We are describing whatever is there. We are not adding anything. We are describing whatever is going on. So generally studies are two type of studies. Theories, prescriptive theories अँड डिस्क्रिप्टिव्ह थेरीज. म्हणजे समजा एखाद्या व्यक्तीने कसं वागायला पाहिजे ते आपण प्रिस्क्रिप्शन म्हणतो, किंवा व्यक्ती कसे वागतात हे झालं डिस्क्रिप्शन. Okay, so it was a descriptive study, means they were just explaining or teaching these principles of public administration as well as structure, procedures, etc., that they were teaching to the trainees. So this was the cameralist group. Then came to the USA. At the end of the 18th century, in 1780s, 90s, okay, in that period, Hamilton was the again thinker. He wrote The Federalist, the book. Hamilton's The Federalist. It decided the scope of administration for the first time. Means which things, which aspects, which functions come under the public administration. That was defined for the first time by the Hamilton. याचा कसं आहे बघा, सब्जेक्ट हा टप्प्याटप्प्याने डेव्हलप व्हायला लागलेला आहे. Means it took almost 2000 years. Okay. So here the Hamilton's The Federalist, in this treatise he wrote about the scope of public administration, means which function, okay, which organization, which things come under the public administration. Then in France, this Charles Jean Bonins, this Charles Jean Bonin, he wrote one book that is a Principle de Administration Public. Principle de Public Administration, Principle de Administration Public. That was written in the French, and it is considered as the first separate treatise. It is considered as a first separate treatise, okay, on the subject of public administration. Even though it was not a textbook was written by L.D. White. He was also thinker from the USA. So these are the names of various thinkers. And then came Woodrow Wilson, 1887. And for the first time, Woodrow Wilson, he pleaded for the separation of the politics from administration. He said, till we are not separating administration from politics, we cannot develop science of public administration. He wanted to develop the subject as a science. Okay. Now, why this factual information we are studying in the evolution? This is a factual thing. So we must know each and everything, each step, so that we cannot miss even a single question. Once there was a question that calling Woodrow Wilson the father of the public administration is like doing injustice to equally or even more eminent contribution make prior to him. Comment. Means write your own opinion. म्हणजे if we are calling Woodrow Wilson as a father of public administration, then it is an injustice. The thinkers who contributed before him in ancient and medieval time. But first of all, we will focus on one thing. If Woodrow Wilson is accepted as a father of public administration, we will also accept Woodrow Wilson as a father of public administration. So what is expected here? To write these things. What was the contribution of previous thinkers? But despite being this thing, we call Woodrow Wilson as a father of public administration because of certain things, like he talked for the first time about the dichotomy, that is separation of administration, means that is the public administration from politics. Otherwise it was a part of a political science. He talked about the training. So many things he talked about. So we'll write those points, and he did it for the first time. Or for the first time, he was the person who asked to separate administration and to develop its efficiency economy. And because of his contribution, he is called, or it is right to call him father of public administration. So it was expected to write these things in the answer. That's why we know, or we need to know these factual things. Got it? क्लिअर? बघ आता हे काय आहेत ना, हे फक्त थिंकर्सची काही नाव आहेत आणि त्यांची पुस्तकाची नाव आहेत. इवन दो इट इज अ फॅक्च्युअल. Okay, but sometimes question comes like this. This question was asked only once, but there's a possibility this type of question may repeat. So we must know what happened before Woodrow Wilson. Okay, now it comes the Woodrow Wilson contribution of Woodrow Wilson. So contribution of Woodrow Wilson, we'll see it at two stages. Okay, in the evolution also, and this Wilson's vision of public administration. Let me clear this. One एक बटन है. वरती एक मिनिट. Okay. So Woodrow Wilson, he is from USA. Okay, and he belonged to the late this 19th century and the early 20th century. He was a thinker, professor of political science, as well as later on he became president of USA. So he was studying political science, and he saw that in USA function of government was increasing. Means public administration was expanding in scope. दिसतंय व्यवस्थित का हे करूयात कुठलं करूयात हे ठीक आहे दिसतंय क्लिअर इथनं बाहेर कसं पडायचं आता क्लिअर आहेत ना ओके so he was actually he saw that in USA action part was becoming more and more important because citizen had started making more demands. And he thought that now administration implementation is becoming more important and it is less efficient. And at the same time, there was the industrial revolution in European countries, and there also these reforms in management had started. New theories were coming in the management, new principles were coming in the management. Okay. Then he said that we shall bring this efficiency and economy in public administration. Now, when you can bring efficiency and economy in public administration or in any subject, when you will study it separately, right? When you will concentrate your efforts on that subject, You will find out certain theories, models, will contribute in that subject. Then only you can develop that subject separately and you can develop efficiency and economy in that particular field. सपोज आपण म्हणजे कुकिंगचं एक्झाम्पल मी बऱ्याचदा घेतो. सपोज कुकिंग असेल. Cooking is a part of the household chores, means your all means household work. But suppose you want to develop science of cooking, first of all you need to separate it from the other work. You need to concentrate it. You need to separate different aspects of cooking. Then we can find out the different methods of cooking better way or increasing its efficiency, economy, effectiveness. Same was here. So Woodrow Wilson, he wrote an essay. Okay, that is in USA. He wrote an essay, and in that essay he pleaded for the separation of administration from politics, because public administration was a part of the political science, and political science is very old subject. And what thinkers were discussing in political science, what type of constitution should be, what shall be the values of the state, what shall be the values of the constitution, what shall be the political theories, what is the liberalism, means there are different theories in politics, what is the democracy, okay, different theories in politics. So since almost means 20 to 100 years, almost 2000 years, various thinkers were contributing in political science. Like we talk about the Aristotle. Aristotle, he gave the theories of the political science. Even Kautilya also gave theories in the political science. Kautilya belongs to actually before Christ era. I think second or third BC. He belongs to that era, Miss Mauryan era, more or less. So here he said that now political science is an old subject. Now we will separate public administration from political science. We'll separate administration from politics, and like other subject, we will develop science of public administration. He believed that we can develop science of public administration. First of all, why to develop science of public administration? Why it is needed to develop science of public administration? Or आपण कुठल्याही सब्जेक्टचं सायन्स म्हणून विकसित का करतो? कुठलाही सब्जेक्ट आपण, why we develop this particular subject as a science? म्हणजे काय फरक पडतो सायंटिफिक झाल्यामुळे? एखादी गोष्ट काय होतं? ओके, डिटेल मध्ये स्टडी करतो. आणखी we understand the things precisely. We understand the cause, means this cause effect relationship. We understand how things can be done with the better way or the best way. आता आपल्याला फिजिक्स माहिती आहे, आपल्याला बायोलॉजी माहिती आहे, केमिस्ट्री माहिती आहे, त्याच्यामुळे आपलं लाईफ किती सुखकर झालंय. आपल्याला माहिती ते प्रिन्सिपल माहिती आहे की काय केल्यामुळे काय होतं. And we are developing different applications means out of that knowledge. We know the biology, we know the human anatomy, so precisely we know the things in our human body also. We can develop medicines, we can develop science of medicine, medical, how to treat human being, human body. Similarly, he pleaded that we shall develop science of administration. बघा आता हा शब्द इथे कंटिन्युअसली येत जाईल, त्याचा तुम्ही म्हणजे पर्पज लक्षात घ्या. आर्ट कसं असतं की सपोज पब्लिक ऍडमिनिस्ट्रेशन मॅनेजमेंट, इट इज अन आर्ट और सायन्स. सम पीपल्स इट इज अन आर्ट, म्हणजे कला आहे. जसं लोक म्हणतात ना स्वयंपाक करणं कला आहे. मग स्वयंपाक करणं जर कला आहे तर स्वयंपाक आपण शिकू शकत नाहीत, काही लोकांनाच येईल. पण जी कला असते, जर सिंगिंग, ओके, म्युझिक, that also we teach. There is also science, but after one limit, okay, that is a specific refinement ओके, ते फक्त काही लोकांनाच जमतं. परंतु सायन्स कसं असतं, सायन्स यू कॅन टीच. वुड्रो विल्सन बिलीव्ड that management is a science, administration is a science, and we shall find out its principles. त्या लोकांना कसं वाटतं की ऍडमिनिस्ट्रेशन इज और मॅनेजमेंट इज अन आर्ट, कला आहे एखादी गोष्ट मॅनेज करणं. बट अप टू सर्टन एक्सटेंट वी कॅन से इट इज अन आर्ट बिकॉज युअर क्रिएटिव्हिटी, okay, your uniqueness will add efficiency in a management. Like how to manage people, even though scientific principles are there, but some people know how to persuade people, how to manage people, how to motivate them. So we can call it an art also. But most of the part, okay, it is also a science, and he tried to develop it. So here Woodrow Wilson, the study of administration. This was an essay he wrote in a political science quarterly. Means political science, the नावाचं एक मॅगझिन असतं तिथे क्वार्टरली यायचं त्या काळामध्ये. Okay. So there he wrote this essay, Study of Administration, in 1887. And he stressed for the first time the need for scientific study of administration. For the first time, someone actually management, this subject developed in a USA. Mostly, most of the development of management, it is in US. Most of the thinkers you will find from US, and some thinkers you will find from these truthy European countries, that is Germany, France, and UK. These three countries specifically, not even for Spain or Portugal. Okay. So France, Germany, England, and then USA. म्हणजे ही जगाला जी काय म्हणतात देणगी, मोस्ट ऑफ द थिंग्स रिलेटेड विथ द मॅनेजमेंट, दिस फ्रॉम द युएसए. म्हणून बरेचसे बघा मॅनेजमेंट गुरु पण तुम्हाला युएसए सापडतात. हेच जुन्या काळात, आता तर हळूहळू जगभरात यायला लागले मॅनेजमेंट, आणि अजून सुद्धा युएसए मॅनेजमेंट मध्ये पुढेच आहेत. ओके, सो हियर ही स्ट्रेस stated for the first time there is a need for scientific study of administration. His statements are very important. Why statements are important? Because in UPSC gives his statement and asks us to comment on his statements. That's why the references, context of the statements are important. It is a contextual. Okay, what he said to Wilson, the object of administrative study is, means the purpose of administrative study is, का अभ्यास करायचा ऍडमिनिस्ट्रेशनचा, सेपरेटली का स्टडी करायचा. He said to find out, to discover what government can properly and successfully do. Government can, okay, what government can properly and successfully do, how it can do these things with the utmost efficiency and least possible cost, either of the money or of energy. Means which things government can do and how these things government can do with efficiency, output efficiency. What is the formula of efficiency in engineering? Output divided by input. म्हणजे तुम्ही किती इनपुट मध्ये किती जास्त आउटपुट काढताय, म्हणजे तुमचं काय इफिशियन्सी झाली. जसं आपण म्हणतो ना, कारचं एखादं मायलेज जास्त, इफिशियन्सी इंजिनची. जर त्याच हॉर्स पॉवरचं इंजिन असेल तर मग कुठलं इंजिन कमी फ्युएलमध्ये तुम्हाला जास्त आउटपुट देत आहेत, त्या इंजिनची इफिशियन्सी जास्त, कार्यक्षमता जास्त. So we need more output. More output means what? If suppose for the same output we are reducing input, that will also increasing efficiency because it is saving your energy. So here, why to study it? We need to find out what government can do, what government can provide, okay, and how it can provide it with the efficiency, utmost efficiency, so that we can save cost and energy of the administration. Means we can save here human resource. Less human being can do the same work. Monetary cost of the government will be reduced. ती आपण कमी करू शकतो. म्हणजे मग पहिलं पर्पज हे एक होतं की why to develop science of public administration, why to separate that subject, to increase the efficiency, and forever this is the one of the most important objective of development and study of public administration. म्हणजे आपल्याला पब्लिक ऍडमिनिस्ट्रेशन मध्ये इफिशियन्सी, इकॉनॉमी आणि इफेक्टिव्हनेस, वी नीड टू increase these three things. Okay, efficiency, economy and effectiveness, these three things we need to improve. So this was the first thing which he said. Second thing what he said, to rescue the executive methods from confusion and costliness of empirical experiment and place them upon the foundation laid deep on a stable principles. म्हणजे काय, त्याचा मीनिंग काय बघा, समजून घ्या अगोदर. टू रेस्क्यू द एक्झिक्युटिव्ह मेथड्स फ्रॉम द कन्फ्युजन अँड कॉस्टलीनेस ऑफ इम्पिरिकल एक्सपेरिमेंट. Empirical experiment means what? On a field level, you do certain trial and error methods. आपण बघा कुठली गोष्ट करताना आपण काय करतो, ट्रायल अँड एरर मेथड करतो. ती गोष्ट जमतेत का, मग ट्रायल अँड एरर मेथड मधनं मग आपल्याला एखादं म्हणजे वी फाइंड आउट द वन बेस्ट वे, बरोबर, आणि मग आपण ते कंटिन्यू करायला लागतो. दीज आर द ट्रायल अँड एरर मेथड्स. So here, when actually executives are executing the things, when executives are implementing the thing, they are involved in a trial and error method. They are doing empirical experiments every time. की एखाद्या गोष्टीची अंमलबजावणी करायची, ती कशी करायची. मग समजा सध्या तर काही अधिकारी आहेत, ते काहीतरी म्हणजे एखादी मेथड डेव्हलप करतील, ते गेलेत की दुसरे येतील, दुसरे आणखी वेगळी मेथड डेव्हलप करतील. So every time there will be this empirical experiments and there will be confusion and it will have a cost. But if you are developing particular principles, then every time there is no need of empiricism, empirical experiments. जसं मी तुम्हाला काल परवा एक्झाम्पल दिलं की रेस्टॉरंट मध्ये शेफ जे असतात, मी तुम्हाला एक्झाम्पल दिलं, मी एका रेस्टॉरंट मध्ये जातो मागच्या 15 वर्षापासून, तिथली टेस्ट अजिबात बदललेली नाहीये, तीच टेस्ट अजून सुद्धा मिळते. तिथले शेफ बदलले असतील का, ऑब्विसली काही शेफ बदललेच असतील, पण मग तीच टेस्ट त्या प्रत्येक डिशची का मिळते, बिकॉज दे माइट हॅव डेव्हलप द मेथडॉलॉजी. की पर्टिक्युलर डिश असेल, त्या डिश साठी किती ऑइल, किती काय, जसं किती कुक, म्हणजे कसं काय करायचं, कुठलाही शेफ आल्यानंतर हे त्या शेफसाठी मॅन्डेटरी असेल की त्याने त्याच मेथडॉलॉजीने ती डिश बनवायची. नाहीतर मग मी इथला खानदेशचा आहे, मी विदर्भातला आहे, मग मी कोकणातला आहे, मी वेगळ्या पद्धतीने बनवेल, असं नाहीत. म्हणजे काय झालं, नाऊ इफिशियन्सी विल इन्क्रीज, नो नीड टू हॅव अ ट्रायल अँड एरर मेथड. म्हणून तर आपण प्रिन्सिपल डेव्हलप करतो ना, म्हणजे प्रत्येकाला, म्हणजे प्रत्येक वेळेस नवीन एक्सपेरिमेंट करण्याची गरज नाही. सो हिअर he said that we need to increase efficiency. How efficiency will improve? When we will lead the stable principles, and these principles we will find out. म्हणजे प्रत्येक गोष्ट करण्याचं, सपोज how to develop an organization, how to recruit employees, प्रत्येक गोष्टीचे काहीतरी मेथडॉलॉजी असतील ना. So we need to find out those principles and miss how we can do this. Then he said ki how we can do this, we can do this by the dichotomy. Which dichotomy? It's a politics administration dichotomy. Many times question comes on this part. You understand this dichotomy means dvidal, two things, politics and administration. He said these two things are completely different. बघा आता हे असेलच असं नाही. This he pleaded, this he claimed. Okay, this he claimed that administration is different and politics is different. He said these are different. He said I believe it. We need to separate it. After separating it, leave politics to the political science. Political science will study politics. But this administration now, we will focus on the administration. We'll find out the principles of administration. We'll find out the principles of organization and will improve its efficiency and economy. The most important thing that he pleaded is politics administration dichotomy. Or the first thing, what he pleaded, that is a science. He said that public administration is a science. That he believed, हा त्याचा विश्वास होता. ओके, अजून पण ते सायन्स आहे का? नो वन कॅन से इट्स कम्प्लिटली सायन्स. मॅनेजमेंट किंवा ऍडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, partially it is a science, partially it is an art. The first thing, he believed that it's a science. Then how we can develop science of administration? So you separate it from politics. That's why he suggested politics administration dichotomy. Now whether dichotomy exists or not, questions are asked in the examination many times. Whether dichotomy exists or not, and UPSC gives different statements, and out of those statements we need to comment on it, whether dichotomy exists. Okay, so what he said administration lies outside the sphere of politics. Administration is not a part of the politics. It lies outside the sphere of politics. He said administrative questions are not political questions. This was his statement. आता UPSC काय करतं, असं स्टेटमेंट घेतं आणि याच्यावर क्वेश्चन विचारतं. कमेंट, administrative questions are not political questions. Comment. This question was asked by the UPSC. Now we need to, now we cannot answer this because we need to know what are the questions of politics. Like suppose what are the problems or questions of politics? Which are the problems of politics? Suppose धर्मेंद्र प्रधान होते, त्यांचा राजीनामा घ्यायचा का नाही घ्यायचा, हा ऍडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव्ह क्वेश्चन आहेत का पॉलिटिकल क्वेश्चन आहेत? इट्स प्युअरली पॉलिटिकल, राईट? इट्स अ प्युअरली पॉलिटिकल. To which person to make a minister? It's a political question or administrative question? कोणत्या व्यक्तीला परत मिनिस्टर बनवायचं? इट्स प्युअरली पॉलिटिकल ना. कारण की कोणाचं म्हणजे कुठल्या नेत्याचं दबदबा जास्त आहे, कुठला नेता महत्वाचा चांगलं काम करू शकतो, जे PM आहे त्यांच्या विश्वासातला आहेत. माझी आज स्कूटर होती. सो दिस इज अ पॉलिटिकल क्वेश्चन. कोणाला कोणतं मंत्रालय द्यायचं हा पॉलिटिकल क्वेश्चन. ओके, सरकार चालवताना लेफ्टिस्ट वेने चालवायचं का राईटिस्ट वेने चालवायचं, हा पॉलिटिकल क्वेश्चन आहे का ऍडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव्ह क्वेश्चन आहे? अगेन इट्स अ पॉलिटिकल क्वेश्चन. दिस इज अन आयडियोलॉजी, की कुठल्या आयडियोलॉजीनुसार तुमचं सरकार चालेल. ओके, these are the political questions. Okay, but when we prepare budget, okay, तर बजेट प्रिपेअर करत असताना त्याचे हेडिंग कसे कसे असले पाहिजे. इट्स अ ऍडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव्ह क्वेश्चन, राईट. हाऊ टू डू अकाउंटिंग ऑफ गव्हर्नमेंट एक्सपेंडिचर, इट्स अ ऍडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव्ह क्वेश्चन, राईट. हाऊ टू डिवाइड डिस्ट्रिक्ट ऍडमिनिस्ट्रेशन so that there will be efficiency, it's an administrative question. बरोबर. How to form an organization, it's an administrative question. Means some questions are purely administrative and some questions are purely political. But again, some questions are there where politics and administration which we cannot separate. मग ते काय काय आहेत, आपला सब्जेक्ट आपल्याला समजल्यानंतर तुम्हाला ते लिहिता येईल, कारण हा सब्जेक्ट असा कंपार्टमेंटलाइज नाहीये. म्हणजे ते क्वेश्चन जे येतात ना, 2-3 युनिटवरचा एक क्वेश्चन असतो, तुम्हाला युनिट 1 वरचा क्वेश्चन लिहायला कधी कधी युनिट 5 चं थोडं नॉलेज असलं पाहिजे, बिकॉज दिस सब्जेक्ट दिस टॉपिक्स ओव्हरलॅप ऑन इच अदर. त्यामुळे आपण थोडं 2-3 मिनिट झाल्यानंतर आपण क्वेश्चन आपण बघायला सुरुवात करूया. पण आतापासून म्हणजे तुम्ही त्याच्यावर लक्ष द्यायला म्हणजे लक्ष द्या. How questions are asked. So administrative questions are not political question. It was the Woodrow Wilson's opinion. UPSC will ask us comment. We will comment on it. And when we will write a comment, our comments will be yes, some questions are political, some questions are administrative. But in some places, we cannot separate politics from administration. Ultimately, dichotomy, this concept is rejected. Many decades ago this concept is rejected, की डायकोटॉमी वगैरे काही असं नसतं, शेवटी दोघे एकमेकांमध्ये गुंतलेले आहेत. पण आपण सुरुवात करतोय की वुड्रो विल्सनला नेमकं काय म्हणायचं होतं. सो वुड्रो विल्सन फर्स्ट थिंग ही सेड की पब्लिक ऍडमिनिस्ट्रेशन इज अ सायन्स. Okay, we shall find out its principles. Second, if we want to develop science of public administration, we need to separate administration from politics. Then only we can concentrate on it and we can develop science of administration. As we are working in a government sphere, means we can develop science of government administration. He said administrative questions are not political questions. त्या स्टेटमेंटवर प्रश्न विचारला गेलेला आहे. देर आर सम स्टेटमेंट्स ऑफ वुड्रो विल्सन. ही ऍक्च्युअली ही तर खरं तर फर्स्ट स्टेज आहे, फर्स्ट स्टेज ऑफ इव्हॉल्युशन डायकोटॉमीची. तिथे आपण हे बघणार आहोतच. अगेन देर वॉज अनदर स्टेटमेंट which he gave. What he said, bureaucracy can exist only where the whole service of state is removed from the common political life of the people, its chiefs, as well as its rank and file. Its motive, objectives, its policy, its standard must be bureaucratic. आता खरं तर ज्यावेळेस हे स्टेटमेंट विचारलं गेलं होतं, लोकांना वाटलं होतं की हा क्वेश्चन जो आहे ना तो मॅक्स वेबर आहे. Max Weber is a thinker in public administration who gave theory of bureaucracy. लोकांनी मॅक्स वेबर बद्दल लिहिलं याच्यामध्ये. But this question is not on a Max Weber. This question is it is on Woodrow Wilson. It is on a dichotomy. What he said, bureaucracy can exist. म्हणजे ब्युरोक्रासी त्याच ठिकाणी जिवंत असू शकते की where the whole service of the state is removed from the common political life of the people, its chiefs as well as its rank and file. म्हणजे आपण जे ब्युरोक्रासी सर्व्हिस आहेत तिला या राजकारणापासून, जे राजकीय जीवन असतं लोकांचं, जनतेचं, राजकारणापासून आणि ते राजकारणामधले चीफ्स ऍज वेल एज फाईल अँड रँक, म्हणजे त्याच्यातली जी हायरार्की असते राजकारणातली, त्या सर्व राजकारण्यांपासून आपण जर याला वेगळं ठेवलं ब्युरोक्रासीला, तरच ब्युरोक्रासी जिवंत राहू शकते. नाहीतर ब्युरोक्रासी राजकीय होऊन जाईल. ब्युरोक्रेसीचं काम काय असतं? टू इम्प्लिमेंट द थिंग्स. देर कॅन बी एनी गव्हर्नमेंट, but bureaucracy's work is to implement. And what he says, it's म्हणजे कोणाचं? ब्युरोक्रासीचं. Bureaucracy's motives, objectives, its policy standard must be bureaucratic. Must be bureaucratic. त्यांचं ब्युरोक्रासीचं उद्देशच ब्युरोक्रेटिक असलं पाहिजे. मग ब्युरोक्रासीचं उद्देश काय असतं? समजा स्वयंपाक आहेत, ओके, कुकिंग आहेत, शेफ आहेत, बर्थडेचं जेवण करतायत, लग्नाचं जेवण करतायत, एखाद्याच्या मैताचं जेवण करतायत, राईट. समजा हे झालं पॉलिटिक्स. याचा आणि कुकिंगचा काही संबंध आहे का? खरं तर म्हणजे कुठलंही जर कुकिंग असेल तरी कुकिंगच्या मेथडॉलॉजी स्टँडर्ड्स असतात. म्हणजे लग्नाचं जेवण असलं काय, मैताचं जेवण असलं काय, भात बनवायचं त्याची मेथडॉलॉजी ती सायंटिफिक आहेत ना. त्याच पद्धतीने भात बनवला गेला पाहिजे. मग ते राजकीय पक्ष कुठलाही असू दे, कुठलीही आयडियोलॉजी असू दे, bureaucracy's functions, objectives, motives, policy, standard must be bureaucratic. Means how bureaucracy shall work, there shall be certain standard, like bureaucracy shall be on merit. So पहिली गोष्ट, bureaucracy should be meritocratic. There shall be meritocracy. Meritorious bureaucracy should be there. म्हणजे तुमच्या गुणवत्तेच्या आधारावर ब्युरोक्रासी असली पाहिजे, तरच ती इफिशियंटली काम करेल, राईट. ब्युरोक्रासीने न्यूट्रलिटीनुसार काम केलं पाहिजे. देर शॅल बी स्किल सेट इन अ ब्युरोक्रासी. मेनी थिंग्स आर देअर. So here bureaucracy should work bureaucratic way, that is said. The standards principle must be bureaucratic. And when it is possible, when we are separating administration from politics, that he pleaded. मग हा जो प्रश्न होता त्यात अगोदर हे आयडेंटिफाय करणं की दिस क्वेश्चन इज आस्क्ड ऑन द वुड्रो विल्सन, that was important. To explain this, what Woodrow Wilson want to say, the administration must separate from politics. He pleaded dichotomy from the statement if you want to increase efficiency. But ultimately, bureaucrats implements the goal objective decided by the political leadership and politics. They will get influenced by the politics. Completely, we cannot separate administration from politics. Yes, up to larger extent, they can work technically, okay, but they will is bound to be influenced or get influenced by the politics. That shall be our end or conclusion of the question. अशा पद्धतीने तुम्हाला याचं आन्सर लिहिता येऊ शकत. श्रीजित, येते लक्षात? क्लिअर? तुझं नाव काय? पृथ्वीराज. तुझं हे काय ग्रॅज्युएशन कशामध्ये? हा, बी ए कशामध्ये केलंस? ओके, हिस्ट्री अँड मराठी. कुठनं? कर्नाटका. ओके. इंग्लिश मीडियम मधनं केलंस का मराठी मीडियम? इंग्लिश मीडियम मधनं केलंय. त्यामुळे तुला इंग्लिशचा काही प्रॉब्लेम येत नसेल. सो हियर दिस इज अबाउट दी वुड्रो विल्सन. सो टू थिंग्स. वुड्रो विल्सन म्हटल्यानंतर ह्या दोन गोष्टी या आल्याच पाहिजे. त्याच्यानंतर अदर थिंग्स, yes, we can see they're part of the Woodrow Wilson, said by the Woodrow Wilson. But the most important thing, public administration is a science. Administration is a science, one, and second is a dichotomy. These are the two important things given by Woodrow Wilson. Then third, what he said, administration is a business. Administration is a business. Like a trading is a business. Like entrepreneurship is a business. Coaching industry, it's a business. Film industry, it's a business. Right? And we run businesses on certain principles. Similarly, say that administration is a business, and like business, It does not involve itself into a question of politics. बिझनेस चालवत असताना आपण कुठलं गव्हर्नमेंट आहे, राईटिस्ट का लेफ्टिस्ट हा विचार करत नाही. बिझनेस मध्ये महत्वाचं काय असतं? प्रॉफिट, इफिशियन्सी, इफेक्टिव्हनेस, इनोव्हेशन. बिझनेसमध्ये ह्या गोष्टी महत्वाच्या आहेत. ओके. बिझनेसमध्ये व्यक्ती असा विचार करत नाहीत की नाही नाही ठीक आहे की आता म्हणजे मला फक्त गरिबांना द्यायचंय किंवा श्रीमंतांनाच द्यायचंय. प्रॉफिट कुठनं येतं? अल्टिमेटली त्याचं पर्पज असते बिझनेस. सो हियर administration is a business and it should be run like other business, and like other businesses it shall not involve itself in the question of politics. Like businesses, efficiency, economy and effectiveness, efficiency, economy and effectiveness should be the concern of public administration. So business मध्ये तीनच कन्सर्न असतात: efficiency, economy and effectiveness. कार्यक्षमता, काटकसरता आणि परिणामकारकता, तीन गोष्टी असतात: efficiency, economy and effectiveness. We run to any business on these three objectives. Similarly, administration. In administration also there shall be efficiency, economy and effectiveness. And as administration is a business, he said there cannot be difference between public administration and a private administration. Why there can be no difference between a public administration and private administration? Because administration is administration. If it is a science, if we are removing it from the politics, if we are separating from the politics, then in a private sector also and in a government also, administrative machinery, administrative principle, administrative practices will be similar. Because at both the places you need to increase efficiency, economy and effectiveness. Clear? Then another principle he gave, that is comparative public administration. Now what is comparative public administration? What is this? He said, okay, Woodrow Wilson said that at that time, means when he was working in England, there was no democracy, or in many European countries, there was no democracy. There was a monarchy, राजेशाही पद्धत होती. And in USA, there was a democracy. If you want to implement reforms, okay, where it is easier to implement reforms, in a monarchy or democracy? निर्णय घेणं सोपं कुठे असतं? आदेश देणं सोपं कुठे असतं? राजेशाहीमध्ये का लोकशाहीमध्ये? राजेशाहीमध्ये. Why? गरजच नाही. Yes, you take a decision. And he gave one statement. He said, in USA, in democracy, there is a multitudinous monarchy. Multitudinous monarchy means what? Every citizen is a monarch. प्रत्येक सिटीजन राजा असतो, त्याचं मत असतं. त्यामुळे नवीन गोष्ट आणायची म्हटली, आता सध्या E20 चालू आहे गडकरींचं. लोकांचा विरोध आहे, कोणाचा विरोध आहे, कोणाचा सपोर्ट आहे, नाही का याच्यावर चालू येतात. इन फ्युएल E20 फ्युएल, इथेनॉल 20. आता ही जर राजेशाही असली तर E20 आणायचंय, आणलंय, संपला विषय, नो डिस्कशन. राईट. पण डेमोक्रेसीमध्ये तसं नाही चालत. लोकांना काय एक्सेप्टेड आहे, काय एक्सेप्टेड नाहीये, लोक त्याशी युज टू झालेत का नाही झालेत, या सर्व गोष्टी महत्वाच्या असतात. सो बिकॉज ऑफ मोनार्की इन युरोपियन स्टेट, administration was more efficient. So ruling was actually monarchy. There was a king, but administration was efficient. Why administration was efficient? Because to bring changes in administration was an easier process. Why it was an easier process? Because in just one order, they were changing the systems and making it more disciplined, efficient. And he said, Woodrow Wilson said, if you want to develop administration of USA, then you compare USA's administration and European countries' administration. And after comparing, you try to bring out the best practices, organizations of USA, sorry, of Europe in USA. मग ऑलरेडी युरोप ज्या काही गोष्टींमध्ये चांगल्या पद्धतीनं करतायत, the things which they are doing effectively, efficiently, you bring them in USA. And we can develop administrative system of US, that is said. Comparative public administration actually came much later of Woodrow Wilson. I'm talking about 1880s, 1880 बद्दल बोलतोय मी, त्या decade बद्दल. And real comparative public administration came in 1950s, after 1956. Means this word comparative public administration was used almost 50-60 years after Woodrow Wilson, or after his essay. But even though he didn't use comparative public administration, but he pleaded similar thing. He said that we need to compare the administrative systems of Europe and USA, and we want to take some efficient system of Europe in USA. Means he also pleaded for comparative public administration. Then what he said, he also talked about the training. He said people can learn, people can learn and be imparted training in principles and techniques of administration. Means you are developing science of administration. Means you are laying down foundations of administration. म्हणजे स्वयंपाक कसा करायचा तुम्ही एकदा डेव्हलप केलायत ना, नंतर जे जे शेप येतील त्यांना फक्त तसं तसं शिकवायचं, सरळ सरळ ट्रेनिंगच द्यायचं. मीन्स यू कॅन डू युअर कुकिंग इफिशियंटली, इफेक्टिव्हली, राईट. मग याच्यामध्ये प्रयोग का करायचेत ना, प्रयोग का करायचेत, इट्स अ सायन्स. Okay, so he advocated for this basis merit-based civil services. You can give training to whom? The civil servant who are meritocrat, ज्यांच्यामध्ये गुणवत्ता आहे, those who are having merit. So he pleaded for the meritocracy. He pleaded for the training, and ultimately he said कि these administrative techniques you will develop, they will be universal. Why they will be universal? Because science is universal. भात शिजायला किती वेळ लागतो हे महाराष्ट्रात पण, भारतात पण, युकेत पण, अमेरिकेत पण, सर्व ठिकाणी जर बाहेरचं टेम्परेचर जर कॉमन असेल तर सारखाच वेळ लागेल. इट्स अ सायन्स. असं नाही तिथे शिजायला किती इथे कमी तिथे जास्त वेळ लागेल. इट्स अ सायन्स. Similarly, when we implement things, so administration, so in administrative techniques which we will develop, like planning, how to do planning, how to prepare report, how to keep control, these methodologies will be similar everywhere. That's why he said these techniques will be universal and we can exchange these techniques, or all can use these techniques. So these are the 5-6 points which we can write in the contribution of Woodrow Wilson in public administration. We may have a question that explain the vision of Woodrow Wilson. Explain the contribution of Woodrow Wilson. Woodrow Wilson is called father of public administration. Why? Because of these all things. he contributed for the first time in public administration. Right? Okay, Abhijit कळलंय? Abhijit Saravde, got it?
हो सर, हो सर.
कळतंय ना व्यवस्थित?
हो सर.
Okay. Abhijit, your medium is Marathi or English medium?
English.
English medium. And your graduation is?
BSc.
Okay. Okay. And you did BSc from where?
Parbani.
Parbani. Okay. So these are the principles, right? These are the contribution of Woodrow Wilson in public administration. Clear? Okay. Now we'll go on the evolution of public administration. वर्गात तुम्हाला डाऊट आहे? क्लिअर? तुझं फर्स्ट लेक्चर असल्यामुळे तुला थोडं कदाचित थोडं कनेक्टला थोडा वेळ लागेल. पण होतं ना कनेक्ट तुला? कुठे जर अडलं तर प्लीज विचारा. Now let's see this evolution of public administration. You prepare this evolution of public administration from Lakshmikant only, from this book only. Why? Because here all statements in the evolution, they are important, and on those statements question can be asked. Ultimately, if we are preparing notes, we will have to write all the things in notes, because Lakshmikant, this is a guide. This itself, or these are the notes from different books. He collected important points. Okay, so this is the best book on public administration. So here stages in the evolution of public administration. Any evolution we can divide into certain stages. Like in suppose evolution of human being, also we develop like a stone age. Okay, then after stone age, then ancient period, medieval period, modern period, history also we divide like this, right? So similarly, like even modern Indian history also, so Lokmanya Tilak era, okay, then Gandhian era, असं era wise आपण त्याला कुठेतरी आपण कंपार्टमेंटलाइज करायचा प्रयत्न करतो. ओके, स्टेजेस लाईक दिस न्यू मेथडॉलॉजी ऑफ कुठलं ते बेबी बूमर स्टेज, देन जेन एक्स नंतर मिलेनियल्स, देन जेन झी नंतर मग येतं अल्फा, म्हणजे काहीतरी किती आहे 64च्या म्हणजे काळापर्यंत आहेत, तर ते बेबी बूमर म्हणजे US मध्ये काळ आला होता, ते जास्त म्हणजे मुलं जन्माला यायला लागलीत, म्हणजे पहिल्यांदा जगायला लागलीत. त्यानंतर साधारणतः 81-82 पर्यंतचा जो काळ आहे त्याला जनरेशन एक्स म्हणतात. जनरेशन एक्स म्हणजे 81-82-83 पासनं साधारणतः 96 पर्यंत जी जनरेशन असते त्याला मिलेनियल्स म्हणतात. आणि 96-97 नंतर जे जन्माला आलेले आहेत 2000 काहीतरी मला वाटतं 13 पर्यंत त्याला जेनजी म्हणतात. 13 पासून 24 पर्यंत आलेले आहेत त्याला म्हणतात जेन अल्फा, आणि अल्फाच्या पुढची आलेली आहेत आता बीटा काहीतरी, जेन बीटा जी 24 नंतरची, जी लेटेस्ट आता 1-2 वर्षाची मुलं असतील. म्हणजे खरं तर याला काय फार मोठा अभ्यास नसतो, काहीतरी कंपार्टमेंटलाइज आपण कुठलं तरी एका पुस्तकावर, एक पुस्तकामध्ये त्याने जनरेशन दिल्या होत्या. तेच ना, मग म्हणजे ते जे पुस्तक आलं होतं जसं अगोदर आता बेबी बुमरचा काळ होता, हे US म्हणायचे. मग ते तसं ते एक मग आता ही काय म्हणतात ती एक्स नंतरचं जे आलं मिलेनियल ते वाय झालं, त्याला वाय म्हणतात आणि त्याला मिलेनियल्स म्हणतात. मग झेड का? कारण ते वायच्या नंतरचं पुढचं झेड, म्हणून ते झेड आलं. म्हणजे ऍडव्हान्स अल्फा म्हणजे असतं ना, अल्फा मॅन, अल्फा वुमन वगैरे सावडता अल्फा, जे काहीतरी त्याचा बेसिस काढतात कुठला तरी. तसं public administration evolve. Later on, when we thought about public administration, we divided it into stages. We compartmentalize it, not compartmentalize exactly, but we divided it. This to this we can call first stage of development, second stage of development, and the stages are decided on the basis of certain books which were written by certain thinkers, and on the basis of that, these 5 to 6 stages they are decided. These stages are given in the regular books of Sharma Sadhana, Avasti Maheshwari. These are the two important books of public administration, regular these books of public administration in India. They have given the stages like this: dichotomy, second stage principle, era of challenge, etc. आपण बघूया. Nicholas Henry is a thinker or the author from USA. In his book, he divided it slightly different, slight differently he divided it. Then again this Glomboweski came. आता हे अगोदर प्रिलिमला राहायचं म्हणून वेगवेगळ्या पद्धतीने ते विचारलं जायचं. ओके, तर फक्त हे जे निकोलस हेनरीचं बघून घ्यायचं की हाऊ ही डिवाइडेड, कंटेंट इज सेम. ओके, फक्त एकदा हा प्रश्न विचारला होता की हाऊ निकोलस हेनरी गेव द स्टेजेस ऑफ इव्हॉल्युशन ऑफ पब्लिक ऍडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, ओनली वन्स. अदरवाइज नो वन विल आस्क यू क्वेश्चन लाईक दिस. इतक्या 25-30 वर्षामध्ये एकचदा विचारलं गेलं असं. अदरवाइज स्टेजेस ऑफ द इव्हॉल्युशन, and questions also they are asked dynamic questions. There will be no simple questions like explain the evolution of public administration, explain the stages of evolution. They will ask critical analyze, they will ask you about theory and practice. Okay, okay. These years na more or less actually means at least start end point, because if they're asking you stages, then you need to write it. If they're asking you comment, then only names are sufficient, because at least in which year or the probable era, okay, near about when second stage started, when third stage started, that we must know. कारण की त्या काळात जे घडलेत ना, तर त्याच्यावर आपल्याला कमेंट करायचं आहे. आणि हे लक्षात राहायला लागतात. इतकं काही नाही, कारण ती पुस्तकं त्यातली काही काही महत्वाची. When you will revise it, automatically you will remember it. Okay, so let's start it. The first stage, it is called politics administration dichotomy. Okay, now its starting year is 1887. Now why starting year is 1887? Because Woodrow Wilson, he wrote an essay, Study of Administration, and this essay is revolutionized the public administration. It is considered as a starting point of study of public administration separately. That's why we say that public administration as a separate subject started developing from 1887 until 1926. That I will show you here, because the book came and thinkers started giving response to Woodrow Wilson's call, and they developed principles. That's why that is the second stage. Okay, so this is the first stage. So here this is the beginning of the evolution of the public administration as a discipline. Because public administration, it is a subject as well uh, as it is an activity, right? So as an activity, it is in existence since long. पब्लिक ऍडमिनिस्ट्रेशन होताच, मॅनेजमेंट शेवटी म्हणजे वी आर ट्राइंग टू मॅनेज द ह्युमन अफेअर, सोसायटील अफेअर सिन्स लॉंग. म्हणजे आपण कम्युनिटी म्हणून, सोसायटी म्हणून एकत्र राहायला सुरुवात केल्यापासून हे सुरू आहे. बट इट वॉज नॉट अ कॉन्क्रीट, it was an activity, but it was not a subject. But here, after 1887, we started to develop the discipline of public administration. Discipline means subject here. Okay, subject, discipline means subject here. So the basic theme during this stage was the advocacy of separation of politics from administration, and that is known as politics administration dichotomy. So this is the basic theme of the first stage, politics administration dichotomy. The stage began with the publication of Woodrow Wilson and his essay, The Study of Administration. He wrote this essay, Study of Administration, in Political Science Quarterly in 1887. That magazine was there, Political Science. So in 1887, he wrote this essay. And this essay laid the foundation for the separate, independent, and systematic study in public administration. Because of that, Woodrow Wilson is called father of public administration. Why? Because of his essay, we started to study public administration separately, independently, and systematically. He had pleaded for that. And because of that, Woodrow Wilson is called father of public administration. Wilson pleaded for the separation of administration from politics that we saw just now. You argued that politics is concerned with policy making and administration is concerned with the implementation. Administration is concerned with the implementation of policy decisions. And he said that administration is administration, it is same everywhere, or here uh, administrative questions are not political questions. You can find this statement, administrative questions are not political questions. This different type of statement he gave. Okay, he said, although politics set the task for administration, it should not be suffered to manipulate its office. म्हणजे goals to administrations are given by the politics, but it shall not manipulate administrative office because administration has its own methodology to improve efficiency, economy, and effectiveness. So Wilson described public administration as a field of business. This first stage is nothing but Woodrow Wilson's contribution. This is the first stage. Then here lot of statements are given. The field of administration is a field of business. It shall be removed from the hurry and strife of politics, etc. He believed that, it is again a very important statement. Wilson believed that administration is a science. प्रशासन एक शास्त्र है. Administration is a science that he believed, and because of that he said that science of administration is the latest fruit of study of the science of politics, which began somewhere 2200 years ago, now 2300 years ago, because political science is a very old subject, and whatever we are studying now at that time is a public administration is latest fruit, latest output of study of political science. And he said that it is birth of our own country, almost our own generation. Means his USA gave birth to the public administration. He called for a separate study of administration, because without separate study of administration, you cannot develop science of administration. His basic argument was that it is getting to be harder to run the constitution than to frame it. Means to frame constitution is very easy according to him, because few scholars can come together and few scholars can frame constitution because they are writing their wisdom there. but to run constitution is very difficult. And he said that we are thinking about framing of the constitution, but we are not thinking about implementation of the constitution. So he said we must focus on the implementation of the constitution now, and we need to develop its science. Then he said, hence there should be science of administration. And what shall be the objectives of science of administration? To strengthen the paths of the government, to make government business like a business, more business like, to strengthen and purify its organization, to crown its duties with dutifulness. म्हणजे थोडक्यात सांगायचं की ऍडमिनिस्ट्रेशनला ऍडमिनिस्ट्रेशन सारखं बनवायचं, त्याच्यामध्ये राजकारण आणायचं नाही. Administration shall be efficient, effective, to crown its duties with dutifulness. Every organization in the government shall do its functions. राईट. आता जसं समजा आता इथे पोलिसांचं होतं काम, की पोलिसांचं काम काय होतं की पोलिसांनी कुठलंही आंदोलन असू देत, त्याच्या मेथोडॉलॉजी असतात, त्या मेथोडॉलॉजीनुसारच पोलिसांनी आंदोलन कंट्रोल केलं पाहिजे. पण जर राजकीय लोक त्यांना सूचना देतील आणि त्याच्यानुसार आंदोलन तुम्ही मग कंट्रोल करायचं, क्रश करायचं, असं व्हायला नको. जसं आता सुप्रीम कोर्टने सुद्धा म्हटलं की आंदोलन हाताळण्याच्या ज्या पद्धती असतील तर ते स्टँडर्ड, पोलिसांचे स्टँडर्ड असले पाहिजे. आंदोलन हा अधिकार आहे, म्हणजे आंदोलकांनी एक्सेस करू नये, तसं पोलिसांनी एक्सेस करू नये. शांततेच्या मार्गाने जर कुठे आंदोलन करत असेल तर करू द्यावं. ओके. ऑब्व्हियसली शांतता होती का नव्हती, एक्सेस केलं का, हो, मग कुठे कुठे केलं तर म्हणजे तो ग्रे एरिया एक आहेच. पण थोडक्यात काय की सरकार कुठलंही असलं तरी पोलिसांची एक जबाबदारी, पोलिसांनी त्याच पद्धतीने ती जबाबदारी पार पाडली पाहिजे, बाय द सेम वे. Okay, so here it's a thing. Then another thinker was there in the USA, that is a F.J. Goodnow. आता याचं इतकं काही महत्वाचं नाही, ते F.J. Goodnow also said the same thing in America, and his contribution is also there, so ते इतकं काही महत्वाचं नाहीये. Then what happened at that time in USA? In the beginning of the 20th century, the American universities showed much interest in a public service movement, and American political, we'll directly see this one. In 1926, L.D. White is a author. L.D. White, he wrote Introduction to the Study of Public Administration. His book was published. Introduction to the Study of Public Administration. This book was published, and it is called the first textbook of public administration. And after this, the subject was started teaching in American universities, because it emerged as a subject, separate subject. So this is the first stage of dichotomy. Okay, separation of politics from the or separation of administration from the politics. Contribution of the Woodrow Wilson, who is called father of the public administration. As he said in 1887 to till 1926, almost 40 वर्षे गेली. 40 वर्षाचा काळ आहे. त्यात डेव्हलपमेंट फार कमी झाल्यात, फार कमी डेव्हलपमेंट झाल्यात. 40 वर्षानंतर पहिलं पुस्तक आलं, 40 वर्ष लागली पहिलं पुस्तक यायला जे पब्लिक ऍडमिनिस्ट्रेशनवर, कारण गोष्टी खूप धीम्या वेगाने होतात. आता म्हणजे द पेस ऑफ चेंज इज व्हेरी फास्ट नाउ डेज. अगोदर गोष्टी काही फार वेगाने चेंज होत नव्हत्या. म्हणजे 50-70 वर्ष 100 वर्ष लोक एकाच प्रकारचं आयुष्य जगायचे. आता एकाच आयुष्यामध्ये आपण वेगवेगळ्या प्रकारचं आयुष्य जगतो. म्हणजे किती फास्ट चेंजेस होतात आयुष्यात. तर this is the phase first. Then came the second phase. Not came means we call this second phase, 27 to 37. Because in this era, some thinkers came and they gave response to the call of Woodrow Wilson. Because reaction is a one thing. Reaction means going against of it. Reaction. Giving response means working in accordance with that call. Woodrow Wilson had given a call that you develop, or public administration is a science of administration, or it's a science. Administration is a science and we must develop it. Now, how we can develop science of administration? When we will find out, when we will search out certain principles. कुठलंही शास्त्र हे काही तत्वांवर, काही प्रिन्सिपलवर बेस असतं, राईट. कुठलं जसं की फिजिक्सचे प्रिन्सिपल आहे, केमिस्ट्रीचे, बायोलॉजीचे, प्रत्येकाचे काही काही थेरीज आहेत, प्रिन्सिपल आहेत की ते सत्य असतात. सायन्स हे सत्यावर आधारित आहे, सत्य, फॅक्ट. ओके, सो ही सेड that we must develop science of administration, and certain thinkers came and they developed science of administration, or they find out certain principle of administration, and these principles are called, or these 10 years in which these books came, that is called as the era of principles of administration. During this stage, scholars believed that, त्यांचा विश्वास होता है, फार महत्वाचे काय वाक्य येतं. Scholar believed that certain principles of administration which could be discovered, certain principles of administration which we can find out, which could be discovered and applied to increase efficiency, efficiency and economy of public administration, right? We can find out. They also believe, like Woodrow Wilson, they believe on it, and they say that there are certain principles of administration which we can find out, and when we will apply this principle, we can increase the efficiency and economy of public administration. And they argued that administration is administration irrespective of its nature and context of work. It is same everywhere. It has a universal validity. Why administrative principles have universal validity? Because they said they are scientific. They are scientific because science is same everywhere. Like suppose law of gravity or Newton's 3 laws. They will be same everywhere except Hollywood movies. Hollywood नाही, आपलं टॉलिवूड मूव्हीज, तमिळनाडूचे वगैरे ते मूव्ही असतात, ते सर्व फिजिक्सच्या प्रिन्सिपलवर काम करतात. म्हणजे त्यांची फाईट कशी असते त्यांची, राईट. सो हिअर science is science everywhere. Means administration is science, means it is same everywhere irrespective of its nature and context. म्हणजे ते कशासाठी आहे, कशाच्या संदर्भात आहे, याच्याशी काही संबंध नाही. It is same everywhere. And yes, he said, hence they claim that public administration is a science. They claim that public administration is a science. त्यांनी दावा केला. They also claim that public administration is a science. And they not only claim, but also develop find out the principles of administration. Now here some thinkers are there which are important. They are mainly Henry Fayol, Luther Gulick and Urwick and Muni Riley. त्याच्यातले तुम्हाला फक्त हे फेऑल आणि गुलिक हे जरी लक्षात राहिले तरी भरपूर आहेत. बाकी थिंकर हे सेपरेटली येतील. आपण इन द theories of administration then we will study these thinkers separately. त्याचा आपल्याला स्वतंत्रपणे अभ्यासच करायचा त्याच्यामध्ये थिंकर्सचा. Okay, so here this stage began with the Ulobi. Ulobi was a thinker. Ulobi's The Principles of Public Administration. In 1927, he wrote this book, Principles of Public Administration, and because of that, it is called starting point of the era of principles. Because this book came, त्याच्या अगोदरचं डायकोटॉमी. Okay, first stage politics administration dichotomy. Second stage here principles of administration that he wrote in 1927, and he asserted that in administration there are certain fundamental principles of general application. In administration there are certain fundamental principles, okay, of general application analogous to those characterizing any science. Means like any science, physics, chemistry, they have certain principles. So similarly there are certain principles of administration. There are the certain fundamental principles. Like suppose physics. In physics, two scientists are very important. First, the Newtonian physics. Then came Einstein. Right? That's quantum physics. So this, or the quantum physics is related with the Einstein. म्हणजे न्यूटन शिवाय आणि आइन्स्टाईन शिवाय फिजिक्स म्हणजे सुरूच होऊ शकत नाही, शक्यच नाहीये. They laid the foundation to the physics. Fundamental principles. So he said that there are certain fundamental principles of general application, and then some thinkers came in that era, okay, and these thinkers, they wrote certain books and gave their principles. Like Luther Gulick was there, who gave 10 principles of administration. Urwick came. Urwick gave 8 principles of administration. Henry Fayol from France, he also wrote a book. He gave 14 principles of administration. Muni Riley, these thinkers, they gave 4 principles of administration. म्हणजे वेगवेगळे थिंकर्स आहेत. वेगवेगळे थिंकर आले, they gave certain principle of administration. Like physics, okay, many these scientists, they contributed in the physics. Similarly, you can say these are the scientists of administration, author, academicians. They said ki these are the principles of administration, and on these principles we can develop science of administration. This stage reached its zenith. म्हणजे ती टॉपला पोहोचली. This stage reached its zenith with the appearance of Gulick and Urwick's papers on science of administration. These papers, they also wrote paper on science of administration and they give more principle. म्हणून हा era जो आहे, it is called from 27 to 37. The stage reached its zenith during this period when This Gulick and Landel Urvik. Gulick and Urvik, these are the two thinkers. They wrote this book, and they also gave the similar uh, type of statement. We can study this principles separately. They are universally applicable. Okay, administration is administration. It is same everywhere. They gave the similar type of statement. And Mohit Bhattacharya, he has written one thing here. It's a criticism, sort of criticism. Mohit Bhattacharya is an Indian thinker and Indian this author and academician. He wrote there, the public aspect of public administration was virtually dropped at this stage because they were developing science of administration. Efficiency was the focus point. Whole focus was almost only on the efficiency. But public administration is for the public. It was dropped out. And this stage can be called stage of orthodoxy. ऑर्थोडॉक्सी म्हणजे काय, याच्यापेक्षा वेगळं काही नाही. ऑर्थोडॉक्स कोण म्हणतो आपण, कोण असतं ऑर्थोडॉक्स, काय काय, हा रूढीवादी. पण कसं, ऑर्थोडॉक्स लोक कोण असतात की जे चौकट प्रिन्सिपल त्याच्या बाहेर जायला तयार नसतात. So this stage is also called stage of orthodoxy. Why? Because this thinker says whatever boundaries we are created of public administration, whatever principles of public administration we gave, that is the public administration. Beyond that, there is no public administration. That's why it is also called that stage of the orthodoxy. These are the two stages. First stage of the dichotomy, then response came to this stage, and in response some thinkers, they gave certain principles of administration. They wrote books, but in 1938 human relation movement was started in USA. One thinker was there, Elton Mayo. He conducted certain experiments in one industry and gave certain principles. Then Herbert Simon is a thinker there. त्यांचा पहिला आक्षेप काय होता, सायन्स cannot be prescriptive. Science is always a descriptive. जसं लॉ ऑफ ग्रॅव्हिटी असं असलं पाहिजे असं न्यूटनने म्हटलं का, असं असतं. सायन्स हे ऑलरेडी एक्झिस्टन्स मध्ये असतच. आता जसं पाण्यामध्ये H2O आहे, हे शोधल्यानंतर त्याच्यात H2O आला का, H2O त्यात हायड्रोजन आणि ऑक्सिजन ओके त्यात आहेच. ओनली वी फाइंड इट आउट अँड वी डिस्क्राईब इट, राईट, वी डिस्क्राईब इट. पण हे जे पुस्तक ज्यांनी लिहिले होते त्यांनी काय केलं, प्रिस्क्राईब केलं की असं असलं पाहिजे, आणि हे सायन्स आहे. HR मोठा आक्षेप एरा ऑफ चॅलेंज. आणि ह्याच गोष्टीवर मध्ये चॅलेंज झालं की यू कॅनॉट क्लेम ऍडमिनिस्ट्रेशन ऍज अ सायन्स. मोठा आक्षेप हाच होता. नंतरचा आक्षेप असा होता की ऍडमिनिस्ट्रेशन इज इम्पॉसिबल विदाउट ह्युमन बीइंग. Human being is a part of the administration, right? And human behavior is a part of administration. Can we predict human being? Science मध्ये आपण predict करू शकतो. Can we predict human being behavior? Have we developed behavioral science? नाही, तर you cannot claim public administration as a science. Here there are detailed statements, arguments, okay, discussion This stage is very important. Thinkers are also very important here. Question directly comes from this stage. All these statements are important. Okay. So this stage 3 will take in a next lecture. Okay. We'll go detail into the stage. Okay. So this was the our second lecture in which we started our teaching. First lecture was yesterday. Okay, we started our teaching, and second, this was a lecture. Now lecture will be on the next week, because the first week and second week there were only 2 lectures because your batch is yet to start. त्यामुळे सर्व बॅचेस ते इन्क्लूड होतील, पण तो एक प्रोबेबल टाइम ठरवलेला असतो. खूप लेट पण व्हायला नकोत. ओके. आणि सर्व बॅचेस आता ही शेवटची बॅच असेल, मग ह्या बॅचेस सुद्धा विद्यार्थी जसतील त्याच्यामध्ये ऍड होतील. सर्व लोकांना डिसिजन घ्यायला वेळ लागतो. या लोकांचं ट्रायल एरर मध्ये असतात. ओके. So now we have already started teaching and we'll continue with it. Okay, we stop now. Any query? Thank you. Thank you.